Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Empowered Patient Podcast, where medical disruptors, insiders, patient advocates, and more come together to improve healthcare, particularly for cancer patients. So thank you so much for joining me, Dani. It was really a pleasure. I am so excited to speak with you. And I had so much fun on your podcast. I thought I would try and return the favor. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me back. I had so many lovely comments about your podcast. I'm very well today. And people loved having the oncologist on to empower patients, to really take back some agency. So your conversation meant a lot to a lot of the people on the Menopause and Cancer podcast. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Oh, thank you.
Right. And actually, we run a program, Tiffany. It's called the Empowered Menopause Program for cancer survivors. I know, for cancer survivors in our community. And a lot of what we do is to teach people, show up and tell your doctor what you're experiencing. Become empowered in sharing your symptoms and what is bothering you, because only by really sort of clawing back our agency can we really then receive the best possible care, because we need to tell our doctors what's going on with us so they can help us. And so it's very well fitting.
So other than that, I know that you are tremendously involved in the community and educational processes. And tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
So back in 2022, I set up an organization called Menopause and Cancer. We're a not-for-profit organization, and we really do what it says on the tin. We support cancer patients who have been put into treatment-induced menopause, and we help them understand what's going on with them, understand what their options are, where they can get help, and what help is available to them. Because most people come to us and they say, I've had cancer treatment. No one said part of my cancer treatment that I would become menopausal, or some of them become menopausal long after cancer treatment finished, and they don't know what their treatment options are. And one of the most common things we hear is that people say, my doctor said you can't have HRT, so you have to do cold turkey menopause, or they didn't know that menopause was even going to be a problem because their doctors hadn't warned them. And the majority think that putting up with it is the only choice they have. And all of this is what we really want to work and campaign against, because people have options. People have, even if hormone replacement therapy isn't an option, they have other treatment options, and they're not an isolated experience. There are millions of people globally struggling with cancer treatment-induced menopause, and currently there is a big gap in the care that any medical system in the world really provides for them. So we want to fill that gap, Tiffany. That's what we want to do.
That's amazing. And, you know, I work in the same space, not exactly in the same exact space, but I deal a lot with exactly what you're saying. And I completely agree with you. It's amazing to me how few patients really understand about menopause, why it happened, what they can take, what they can do to improve their symptoms, or even what some of the symptoms are leading up to full menopause. Oftentimes, you know, perimenopausal women will be, you know, treated like they're crazy people. So it's very enlightening to see all this education coming about. Let me ask you, what brought you to this frontier? What did you go through menopause yourself? You look too young.
Yeah, so that's a common thing, isn't it? And many people in our community, they're in their 20s and 30s, and they might have had bowel cancer or a stem cell transplant for leukemia, and different cancer treatments put people into the menopause. And I think it's really understanding what's happened to you that will help you then understand what your options are. I went through menopause twice. As a 33-year-old breast cancer patient, I had chemotherapy, and my chemotherapy switched my ovaries off, and I expected to lose my hair. I expected to have lots of other symptoms of chemotherapy. And I think my doctor said, your periods might stop, but I didn't know what else that meant for me. I did not know that stopping my periods would mean, in my case, temporary menopause. So in retrospect, my periods came back. And so I was in menopause for a while, and then I was regaining ovarian function again. And so there was a lot of uncertainty, but I then had no idea. I never used the word menopause when I had no periods for a year. It was just one of those things. My hair grew back, my periods came back. It was just one of those things. I was very fortunate that I had 3 daughters already. So I had baby twins that were 2, and I had an elder daughter that was 4.
Wow.
Because it meant when my period stopped, I didn't have to worry about my fertility. So I would
Sure.
always say everyone is so different, but that was a blessing for myself. And then I found out that I had a genetic mutation. So I'm a carrier of the BRCA1 genetic mutation. And so I then reduced my risks of more breast cancer by having a double mastectomy. And then
Wow.
later, I reduced my risks of ovarian cancer by having my ovaries and my tubes out. And those 2 surgeries were handled very differently. And that's what sparked my interest in leading this menopause conversation for cancer survivors now, because I felt I was given lots of choices when I was managing my double mastectomy. My doctor said you could go flat, you could have a reconstruction, you can keep your nipples, you could have them tattooed on, you could have expanders,
It's like a whole menu.
Well,
it's a whole menu.
I was an
Right.
active participant in choosing how to manage this part of my cancer journey. And when it was then talking about removing my ovaries, I was just said, oh, it's a small operation. It's keyhole. You'll be in and out the same day. Really don't worry too much about it. But at that time in the UK, we had amazing women and doctors campaigning for more menopause awareness. And I was thinking, hang on a minute. They're all saying menopause is a big deal. These doctors want my ovaries.
Right.
I need to do my research.
Sure.
Right. And so I went down a rabbit hole, and I was getting conflicting advice, no advice, or incorrect advice. And I thought, is it just me? Is it just me? Or what am I missing? And so I set up my first Facebook group, and within weeks there were thousands of women from all over the world echoing my experience, different cancers, different symptoms, but a similar experience. And they said, no one talked to me about my options either. And I then thought, what else can I do? So I set up the Menopause and Cancer podcast. I brought experts like yourself on to educate this audience out there, which is really helpful, and in a day and age where social media isn't always great and there is a lot of misinformation, we spend a lot of time now in bringing just amazing experts on that are cancer specialists, menopause specialists, and really bringing evidence-based information to people. But then more and more people said, it's great you're having these conversations. I'm still struggling. So I then set up the not-for-profit. And just last week, we published Navigating Menopause After Cancer, which is my book, which I'm so excited about.
We're going to show that book.
And we're going to show that book. And with the book, it just felt like every workshop I attended, every group of cancer survivors I spoke to, people still had questions. I couldn't get through their questions. And clearly I'm not the medic. So I can only signpost and I can say, look at this and look at that resource. And I just wanted to sum it all up. I wanted to bundle everything I've learned up over the last few years and put it in a book. And I've done my best. That's all I can say. I've done my best, and it's out there in the world.
That is amazing. And, the QR code is up here, and I'll also put information in the show notes so that people can both see your website and all the good things that you're doing, as well as a link to purchase your book as well, because your book is going to change millions of lives. It really is.
Oh, I'm so grateful you say that. And what was the hardest thing? I didn't want to exclude anyone. So it's a book for any cancer survivor, whatever their cancer treatment was, however long ago, if they had an endometrial cancer or a breast cancer or leukemia, whatever it was. So it speaks to all cancer survivors. And I really wanted to open out all treatment options, because one thing I know from engaging deeply with my community is some people really want to know all about medication. They're happy to take a pill. They want more medication. They're like, that's what's going to help me. And other people say, no more, Dani. I've had loads of treatment. I don't want any more treatment, medication, even if you say it's going to help me with the hot flushes. They want to try lifestyle and diet and complementary therapies. And I have stopped to judge. I don't think there is a right or a wrong way. I don't think there is a hierarchy of what works. And I don't want to support opinions. We have people in our community who even take HRT after breast cancer. And we have people in our community who will not even touch soya beans or edamame beans. Like the spectrum is huge.
It's true.
It doesn't matter to me what people want, as long as they have evidence-based information and they have enough information to make an informed decision.
Absolutely.
Go for it, whatever it is you want to do. And so the book talks about it all. We talk about soya beans, we talk about HRT, I talk about acupuncture. Everything is wrapped into this book, so that I hope whatever it is that someone needs at that point, there is a starting point for them. I'm not saying I have all of the answers, but I hope the book is a starting point for their own research and their curiosity.
That is amazing. How long did it take you to write this book?
Don't ask me, because it's been such a
Well,
long
I'm
time.
asking because I'm sitting on 2 books that I haven't published yet, and so because I keep reworking them, so I was just wondering, as one author to another.
Yeah, I know. I committed 2.5 years ago, so it was a really long process, and I knew then I needed to put the information I'd learned into like a concise guide, with all of the treatment options bundled up. So like, it's not the book you read from the beginning to the end. You can flick through it and pick it up at any point. And then I had times in the process where I didn't work on it at all for a few months. I had total block. I then stopped believing anyone would want to read it. I kept thinking I'm not good enough. And my own menopause journey has been more of a mental one for myself. So the loss of confidence, the lack of belief in myself, those symptoms have been much bigger for myself than a physical symptom I've ever had. And so I think there were times, in my own journey where I sort of stopped writing because I thought, oh, it's too much. I can't do it. I can't push it over the finish line. And then I kept picking it up again. And so I think for the last 2.5 years, I felt I didn't have a weekend off. I didn't have a holiday where I didn't think I need to drag my laptop around with me on a beach holiday, trying to do another chapter. And it's as good as I can do it now. And I went down the self-publishing route, which means I have total agency over the book, and I can rewrite it and re-edition as new drugs come out, as new science comes out, and I'm excited about that because I can keep it current. And I was wrong. You'd never, that saying where they say, don't believe everything you think. I'm so glad I didn't believe everything I thought, because we've become #1 bestseller in all breast cancer books. #1.
That is such a
bestseller. I know, in all cancer
That's unbelievable.
books, in all cancer books, and #3 in menopause books. And some of the menopause books in front of us are like the Stacey Sims of the menopause conversation. They're huge, and I'm like just there. And so I'm glad I didn't believe every doubt I had, and I just kept pushing through. So finish your books, Tiffany. We need to read them, both of them now.
Get on with it. Get over myself and get on with it. Exactly. That's I've been telling myself that. It's hard. It's hard to find the time to write when you're doing all these other things as well. But I need to learn how to block out the time.
So my turning point came when I had a really good editor that came on board. So although I went down the self-publishing route, I didn't do this myself. So I then chose an editor to help me make this a great book. 2 other women came on board to copy edit and to really perfect it. So it was, and these are experts, and they've been in the publishing world their whole lives. And so without them, this book wouldn't be what it is. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to need those names from you, I think.
And it's been my sort of real turning point. And, I trusted them. They've done amazing other books. And I thought, okay, if they believe that this is going to be a good book, it will be a good book. So, their name's on it as well. So
wonderful. Oh, that's terrific. That's great. So what other things are coming down the pipeline? How else are you going to move and shake the menopause and cancer world next?
Well, on the 18th of September, we are launching World Menopause and Cancer Day. And I'm not sure if I'm not even sure if I'm meant to announce it, but anyway, I've said it now. I want you to be there. And I feel like there is an awareness day for everything in the world, right? There is an awareness day for every mental health, every physical health, every gardening club has an awareness day. And what frustrated me a lot always is that there is a lot of chat about cancer and cancer treatment and cancer survivorship, and there is a lot of menopause. We have a World Menopause Day in October. These are really important days. But when you think that by 2050, 16.3 million women will have had a cancer diagnosis. So we're talking
Millions.
millions of
Absolutely.
women.
Wow.
And that 90% of all of those over 40 will enter permanent menopause. It's a huge, we're talking millions of women that are going to struggle. And we've just done research, and we've had over 1,000 people fill in our survey, which has been really quite amazing. And their feedback is humbling, and it's very raw. And, you know, we're talking over 85% of people that say they have not had any support in helping them with their menopause after cancer. So we're talking 90% of millions of people. It's something is missing. There is a huge void. And so I think we need an awareness day. Any topic has a right for its own awareness day. And to me, it doesn't make sense we haven't got one. So 18th of September, we're going to do a London event, but it'll be broadcast into the world. So I hope you'll join us.
I've never been to London, by the way. So perhaps that'll be the time I have to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have 2 tickets. You're there, front row.
Totally come. Sounds like fun. Yeah. September 18th. I'm going to check my calendar as soon as I get off this podcast. So I'm sure that there. Go ahead.
And and you've had some amazing other guests from the UK on, like Dr. Lisa Reardon, and so it would be an amazing opportunity for you to meet people.
Now, did you, just out of curiosity, did you come to ASCO? Did you come and do anything at the American Society of Clinical Oncology? No? Have you ever been there?
No, but I've never been, and we've been watching from afar, because more and more data comes out for cancer survivors in regards to managing sexual health related symptoms. You know, when we talk about the symptoms of menopause after cancer, they can be anything, but we know GSM, genitourinary syndrome of menopause, is debilitating, and over 88% of women will struggle. And so there is more evidence for some safer treatments, which may even include hormonal local treatment. So there's reassuring conversations, but also reassuring that more people say it's important to talk about it, because we always say it starts with a conversation. You know, we are in a dire situation, but if we get everyone talking about it, we're going to do a good job for our generation. We might not be able to change how every medical system does menopause care for cancer survivors in the next 5 years. We may not come up with new medication or new research right now, but we can improve patients' life by having better and more open conversations.
100% agree with you. My platform is somewhat akin to that, in that I have found over 25 years of being a medical oncologist that it was astounding to me the people that would come for second opinions, or that, friends and family would have you, they didn't understand what their cancer was, why their treatments were offered to them, why they didn't get another treatment, why did they get a PET scan instead of an MRI or what have you. And, along the same lines, that I can't change the medical community, but I think that more and more that we educate patients to empower themselves in whatever endeavor they're after, hopefully the system will follow. And I think that, that we're doing those types of things right now. And so I feel like I'm pushing a boulder up a hill sometimes, but I definitely have noticed that patients that are more educated, that are more empowered, are happier overall, because they're making choices that are meaningful to them and not just doing what they were told by the doctor.
Yeah, you said something so powerful when you came on the Menopause and Cancer podcast. You said you often told your patients, you come first now, and really giving them the agency to look after themselves, to look after their energy levels, to say no to maybe visiting relatives when they have no energy. And that was a really powerful message. And we often hear in our community, when people are maybe even a few years down the line from active cancer treatment, but they may still be struggling with some of the late effects, like menopause symptoms, they often think they shouldn't be complaining, they should be getting on, everyone else is doing much better than them, but they're still there. They've got insomnia, they've got terrible hot flushes, they've got night sweats, they've got low mood, they've got fatigue, and they think, gosh, I should be doing so much better. And I often remind them, I say, no, you do come first, and you do deserve good help and support. Even if you think you should be doing better, let's worry about that another time, if that is even a correct assumption. But you deserve care and support at any stage of that
That's true.
journey. And it's empowering them to sort of just speak up. And yeah, I love your
Thank
work. So
you.
it's
Thank you so much.
fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that we're collaborating on a couple of things here, and I am absolutely going to go down to London. So tell me, what other things would you like to talk about? I want to give this microphone to you to make sure that you're getting out the message that you want. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk to that I haven't asked you about?
Yeah, you know what? I think the education, we almost need to rewind. I was on a call and I mentioned that to you just earlier. There were about 20 cancer survivors, different cancers, Australia, America, UK joined in. And we still had women on that call who said they had a hysterectomy, including the removal of the ovaries, and no one had spoken to them about the menopause. And so 6 weeks after the surgery, they had horrendous symptoms.
It's terrible.
And they say it was overshadowed because, of course, they were undergoing cancer treatment. And so I think what we want to say as a community here is it's important to go after and have all of those cancer treatments. And I did the same. If you had said to me as my oncologist, then I'm going to take your left arm, I may have considered giving you my left arm. I would have done anything to reduce my risks of this cancer spreading or coming back or curing it, right? And at the same time, and it's never a but, and at the same time, we need a lot more awareness about the impact of those cancer treatments so that we don't say to women, just take this little white pill for the next 10 years. Most people are fine on it. So that we educate people on these long-term, maybe endocrine therapies may come with side effects, but please come back and talk to us. We're here to help you. Because what we hear are the horror stories most doctors don't hear. We hear from patients that they've stopped their treatment and they never told their husbands. We hear from patients that take these drugs one day on, one day off, never talk to their doctor about it. We hear from people who are feeling, what's the point in carrying on? Why have I even survived cancer if my quality of life is this bad? And so they stop their treatment altogether. And so to us, it's about really rewinding and more education for healthcare professionals as well. There are so many nurses who are amazing at giving chemotherapy. This is a golden opportunity to talk about the effect of menopause through chemotherapy. And so it's understanding where can we talk about it more, because it will happen to so many women. And to those, when they already feel affected by menopause, is really understanding there are millions out there, because most people find us and they thought it's just them, a bit like me. And it's not just them. There are so many more struggling.
Have you worked with any physicians or any medical institutions, say in England or elsewhere, about these types of things, like creating a program?
So we work our way through the cancer alliances. Some are really yeah, tell us more and educate us, and others are like, oh no, it doesn't affect any of our patients. So you're like, okay,
yeah, sure it does.
This is a very varied conversation. You know, we've won our first NHS contract, which is absolutely brilliant, like a bigger 2-year project where we want to upskill patients to deliver peer-to-peer support groups in their local area. Because we understand it can't all happen through healthcare professionals, because they're very short of time. So we have started to educate them, but we think a lot of brilliantness can happen in the community and by patients connecting to one another, which is going to be really helpful for that sharing of experiences and also informing each other. What's worked for Susie might work for Marilyn, or the other way around. And so we really want to foster that and really helping the community to educate each other for going forward. And we've also just won a really great bid to create our own cognitive behavioral therapy course for cancer survivors for menopause symptoms. And you know, a lot of people say, well, it's not in my head. It's not just in my head. If I do CBT, does that mean it's just in my head? But we have proven strategies that are non-hormonal that can help for menopause symptoms. But patients always say, it's very well you say that, Dani, but I can't access it. And so it's also creating the support. You know, I didn't ever want to be an organization that just raises awareness. To me, that's only half the battle, really, in a way. I want to create awareness, but I want to then be able to provide the support. And so by creating some free on-demand programs, apps where people can learn and
I
really
love it.
access the help is my little dream come true. And at the same time, I think we need to keep chipping away at some of your colleagues, because out of all of our lovely doctors, the oncologists are very hard to get through to. What made you so obviously you've been a medical oncologist for
Right.
decades. When was the first time that you realized some of those life-saving treatments are having really quite difficult side effects, long-term side effects for your
So that's a
patients?
really interesting question, Dani, because I think what I saw and understood when I was in clinical practice at MSK is different than what I'm seeing now, that I'm acting more on a concierge, more of a one-on-one type of a situation. And also now that I'm more involved in social media, I'm seeing more of the things you're talking about, the things that they didn't tell the doctor back then, right? So my patient would come in and say, oh, I haven't been taking my medicine for a while. And I would be upset because I want them to take their medicine, because I want them to be cured of their cancer. And so we would have a discussion about that. And I would say that it was fairly rare for a patient to tell me it was because of the side effects of menopause. They would say, it's too expensive. I forgot to pick it up and then I just forgot. I feel like I had enough treatment already because you already gave me chemo. Why do I have to take these pills also? I would hear about vaginal dryness. I would ask about vaginal dryness. But in general, I think that I have become much more aware of the extent of the menopausal symptoms that are actually related to the pills, that I don't think that my patients even realized were part of it either. The mood swings, the brain fog. You would say, well, the brain fog, it could be from the estrogen, but it could also be from your chemo that you're still recovering from. So I guess the point is that now I'm on more of a patient-facing side, where I am acting more as a conduit between physicians and patients. And so I think they're telling me more or admitting more to me than they had before. And I also think because I've taken sort of the stance that I want to help you tolerate your medicine, so I need to know exactly what is bothering you, right? So I can't help you if I don't know what all the problems are. And so I think when I'm presenting it in that manner, patients are much more likely to come forward with the symptoms that they're having. Whereas before, it was more, my focus was primarily on making sure they took their medicine so their cancer didn't come back. And now I'm looking at it more holistically. So
Yeah. And it is sort of finding those pieces of the puzzle in the entire sort of
yeah,
circle, isn't it? Of like this, it's this beautiful play together between physicians and patients and their symptoms. And like I remember so clearly when I was going through chemotherapy, a lot of my fingernails fell off. It was a side effect, and I was warned they could discolor. I was warned they could get
sure.
painful, but I didn't tell my doctor when they fell off because I didn't want them to give me less
Yep.
chemotherapy. And I also didn't want the doctors to think I'm not doing very well. I wanted them to think she's got this. She's a young mum and she's owning her treatment. And of course, my doctor never gave me a badge, but I kind of wanted that approval that I'm
Right.
doing
Yep.
well.
You wanted to
Like
be the
it's,
good patient,
and
his
so,
great
and
outcome.
it's,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And so I understand that we don't always communicate everything. And equally, I understand that we don't know what we don't know. I didn't know when my period stopped through chemo that it was the menopause. So I couldn't put any of my symptoms down
Sure.
to it. And so I think that in general, we need to just fill in the pieces for doctors, fill in the pieces of the puzzle for patients. And we often have patients coming into our workshop saying, oh my God, I had no idea that my dry vagina was a part of the menopause. And this might be because I'm on an aromatase inhibitor. Because they
Right.
were in a silo and no one spoke about it. And it's embarrassing
Sure.
to talk about those
Yeah,
things, right?
absolutely.
Really quite embarrassing. And you also, if you don't know, it might be to do with your medication. You're not going to bring that up with your oncologist because you're like, well, we have bigger fish to fry here. We've got cancer to talk
Right.
about. And so it's also understanding, where do I go with what symptom? And so sometimes what we say when people come and find us, we're like, stop social media, disconnect from a lot of things. Here is a symptom checker. We've got a free one on the website. It's a list of all the symptoms. Have a cup of tea with yourself and sit down with yourself and just understand what is going
Yep.
on.
I
And
love
then
that.
let's find out who in your team might be good to help you with those symptoms. Is it your oncologist? Because it's not always the oncologist. Could it be a clinical nurse specialist? Or maybe it's your general practitioner, or maybe it's someone else. Maybe people need diet advice or
Hmm.
exercise advice. And then let's help you find specialists, because people always think they have to do everything themselves. I thought, I'm now a dietitian. I need to know how to change my
Yeah.
diet. I thought, I'm now an exercise specialist. I know how to exercise. That's incorrect. I had no idea. And I did a lot of things the wrong way
Hmm.
around. And so we help people find the right practitioner for their symptoms at the moment. And so it's kind of like taking the confusion out, starting to understand what are
Hmm.
your symptoms, what's
Yeah.
going on with you, who can help you, how can you access the help in your team, and then I'm helping them understand what their options are. Because what we hear a lot is when people come to our workshops and we say have doctors talk about non-hormonal
Hmm.
options, they are then much better equipped to ask their doctor what they want and need.
Yep.
So it's putting those three things together is then when you have the patient who then says, I am now very clear, these are my top 3 worst symptoms, Dr. Trozo. This is what I struggle with
Yep.
the most. It could be hot flushes, joint ache, and sexual health related symptoms. They're much clearer, because otherwise people say, I just feel rubbish, I have to
Yep.
stop the medication. And that
Nope.
doesn't tell you much, right? So we help people communicate better. And then they often say, and I heard that there are some non-hormonal medications possible, or maybe
Yep.
for me. I want to explore those. And that again helps doctors, because otherwise they have to figure out, does she want medication? Does she want cognitive behavior therapy? Does she want acupuncture? And so we kind of like fast track the patient doctor
Sure.
relationship
Yes,
a little bit.
absolutely.
Otherwise, what we do know
Hmm.
happens is people spend 3 or 4 doctor visits until they get the outcome they want. And we can reduce that to at least by half by empowering patients to go in with a little bit more information.
Absolutely.
Um,
They
and
don't
we
know what
hope
questions to
doctors
ask.
will
Right.
appreciate
Sure.
it. Yeah. Mm.
Amazing.
And so it's a bit of a journey we go on,
Hmm.
right? And you have those journeys with your
Sure.
patients, and in the background we just want to whir away, helping them understand that it's a tough menopause to navigate. We're not saying it's easy,
Right.
which is why we called the book Navigating Menopause After Cancer. And actually it's our community that chose the title, because I called it Managing Menopause After
Hmm.
Cancer. And a lot of them said to me, Dani, I don't ever feel I properly manage it. I'm navigating my way through it. I'm muddling through it. I'm trying this, I'm trying that, but it's still hard, but I'm doing better
Hmm.
than before. And so we called it Navigating, because you're not stuck. It's an
Hmm.
ongoing journey. And what I might want to do this year might be different to what I want to do
Right.
next year. And we want to allow for that sort of continuous navigation. Um, yeah, it's a navigation,
Yeah,
isn't
no,
it?
it
I
is. I
guess.
agree with you. And, I've gone through those same sort of iterations myself for my book and my program, what have you. I called my company initially Winning the Cancer Journey, which meant that I wasn't saying that I was going to help everybody beat cancer. I can't tell anybody that. That would be lying. I can help them win the journey, though. In other words, what I meant or what I mean is that I am going to help them get the best possible outcome that they can get with their cancer journey and treatments by helping manage their expectations, their education, their empowerment, their community, and all of those things, how to make it most manageable. And so I had winning, and then I had patients tell me that they didn't like that word. And some people don't like journey. What is the other one? So I had calming the cancer chaos. I've had a bunch of them. I'm still throwing them up in the air. I may end up just sticking them. Actually, maybe I can survey your group. They see what
Yeah, exactly.
See-
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's really interesting, because it's this personal
Sure. Yeah.
experience, isn't it, of what is it? How do people
Right.
relate to it? And you can't ever really please everyone, and
So
people have
true.
so many different ideas and feelings and opinions. Sometimes you've just got to go with what you
Yeah.
think is right. Um, but in general, I think we're all navigating through it, and I think it never ends when the treatment ends. And for us, this is where
Sure.
really the complexity of the aftermath of what cancer treatment can do to you begins. And so we need more adequate preparation, more acknowledgement
Yep.
that it's hard. So again, I won't say to anyone, read my book and you won't ever have a menopause symptom again, or come and
Right.
join our program, or come and do all of these things. But what I do know, and we've surveyed, thousands of people, we do know people have an improved sense of
Hmm.
quality of life just by joining our services and by tapping into
That's
our
wonderful.
services. And that does not mean they have fewer hot flushes or less
Hmm.
insomnia, or that they improve some of their symptoms. It's actually about feeling empowered that they
Yep.
have options, understanding what is going on with them, and then having a sense of community and belonging. And that to me is incredible, because it means we don't need millions, we don't need millions and billions of funding for new
Hmm.
research. We can do a lot of goodness with what we have.
Wonderful.
I really do hope that the book Navigating Menopause After Cancer will help people have a better
Hmm.
experience and less symptoms. I really hope people find something that works for them. But we do know people can have a better experience by being
Yep.
more empowered, and that's
It's
brilliant.
wonderful. Dani, I cannot thank you enough for joining me today. This was really fascinating. I'm sure our listeners are really going to enjoy this conversation. We were live on a couple of different streams, and I will be putting this out on my YouTube channel, and we'll be happy to share it with you as well. And I look forward to future collaborations. I
Thank you.
support everything that you're doing, and I really look forward to working with you on other things in the future.
Thank you so much for giving us a platform. And if anyone is wondering if what they are experiencing might be the menopause, just take a step back, fill in the symptom checker, do a
Yep.
little bit of listening to our podcast, and things will fall into place. I hope I didn't confuse
No,
anyone.
no, you were great.
But if that is their sort of like inquiry, then this is where their journey
Sure.
begins now. So good
Thanks.
luck for anyone. Good
Wonderful.
luck.